funny. We made a joke when we started about 10 minutes ago about spraying Start Your Bastard down into the carburetor choke and giving it some pumps, and she coughed into life. But as it turns out, she didn't quite cough into life, and so we've had to do a few little tweaks and try it again. And I think we're up and running. So we're just waiting for our confirmation to come through. We are live. So
we are good.
We are good. Happy days. Take two. Like every good bit of technology and old cars and whatever, nothing ever really works the first time. So. But we're live now. Luke, how are you?
I'm good. Hot, but good. It's warm in the shed tonight.
Are you enjoying your healthy serving of sweet humble pie?
Humble pie is tasty. I love a bit of humble pie. Yeah, no, humble pie is good. The state's response has been pretty amazing. And, we're good.
Wonderful. And of course, what we are talking about is the fact that Home of Sports Car Safari Adelaide, South Australia, which up until a couple of days ago was probably just about the best place in the world to be in the middle of this pandemic, has basically flipped on its head and turned into the middle of the world's strictest lockdown. And yeah, I must admit, I was mocking, but all of our friends in Melbourne and the rest of the world, I think everyone at Adelaide was a little bit smug. There were memes being created, there were jokes flying around, and I think everyone in Melbourne now is sort of sitting back going, sucked in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've had to swallow a bit of humble pie, but no, we're good. We've our government and our Saint Nicola has come through, and we're tackling it hard and fast. So hopefully we'll keep it nice and short and get everything back to normal pretty quick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a bit like here in the UK. It's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons, I think, when Homer farts and then turns the radio up. It's kind of what we're doing in the UK here. Everyone's just turn the radio up and pretend it's not. Everything's fine.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
we are lucky we've only had a few number of cases. Some stuff came from returning international traveller in hotel quarantine, and that managed to escape hotel quarantine through a worker and spread through, which is exciting. But everyone's been really good in Adelaide. Like everyone's been queuing up like crazy for testing. There's pictures and video popping around on Instagram of streets dead, city dead. Like, everyone's a really good response to it. Everyone's chipping in and trying to do the right thing, and off we go, which is cool.
The thing I was slightly disappointed in, obviously I am from Adelaide, so I count myself as an Adelaidean, but I was slightly disappointed in my fellow Adelaideans in that people were panic buying toilet paper again. In the UK, the shops were stripped the first time, but the second time everyone's gone, no, it's actually fine. You know what? Food's more important than toilet paper. Like, we don't need to do this. It's fine. Adelaide, again, what?
No, I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't get it. Yeah, and but the other thing that's crazy too is everyone's gone nuts with toilet paper, but you can still go out every day to the shops. Like one person from the household can go out to the shops, buy what you need, and come home again. So there's no need to.
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot the toilet paper. I'm going to need to go to the supermarket the long way.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I did have a good excuse, and on yesterday when lockdown was announced, we were pretty much out of coffee, and
that is
supermarket coffee.
Nah.
I'm not going to cut it. So messaged the guy Dom from Dawn Patrol, who has his mobile on the website amazingly, and was like, "Hey, you guys still roasting? Yeah, we'll be here shortly, like for another half hour. Do you want to come up?" Yep. So from where I am up to basically Clarendon, so good little bit of back roads. Andy, hope you're listening. Took the GDV for a nice little squirt because it's not going to be able to be run for a week. So I went the back roads, got some coffee, came back. It's perfect.
I don't think your phone call was that relaxed. You'd have been like, Thomas, look, I need some coffee. We're going to be back in the house with 2 kids for a week and I can't go anywhere and I need some coffee, man. You got to help me. You got to help me. Help me. Help me.
Need the coffee.
Okay. Sure. Like, yeah. Come up. It's fine.
So yeah, that was cool. They were all really good. So managed to get in just before they left for the week, which is good.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's good. So we got some comments coming in. Good evening to Turbo124. Good evening. Andy Metcalf. Good morning too. Martin Gallard, gutted that the rally is parked up. We will touch on this Adelaide rally. Yes, we will get to that. I think that's a subject in its own right. Scott Wood, O2 owner, which is wonderful. It's not a lockdown. It's an impromptu long weekend. I think there's definitely a lot of people at the 6-day limit have gone, actually a week at home, not being able to do anything is actually probably pretty nice at the moment. So,
yeah, not a bad thing.
So that's good. And
except when you've got a toddler.
Yeah, nah, I feel bad for your son. Street to screen. The dead streets make me want to get an OP drift car and film a one-take street drift through the city with like 20 GoPros in a chase car. Yes.
I was actually thinking about that because I was flicking through Instagram today and old mate VHS Refresh came up and he was mentioning about lockdown and everything. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Like seeing some of his drift videos that he posted again. And I was like, yeah, that'd be sick. Like just get out and go nuts on the streets.
You know, there were some guys
on the way to the shops. On the way to the shops.
Yeah. There's some guys in London. I mean, obviously, you know, I think one of the characteristics, and, you know, we've spoken about this before, but it's just how the UK really hasn't actually enforced anything in the same way that Australia and Adelaide does. But there are a couple of photographers, and I must admit, we decided not to do it because I was a bit like, I didn't think it was the right thing to do. But there were a few guys that went and did some shoots in London during lockdown, and the photos, and they've been very canny in sort of trickling the photos out a couple of months later that no one ever really talked about it at the time. But, you know, I think Tom Shaxson did one for Gerardo & Co. with the Colin McRae, the 98 WRC Subaru in London. Alex Penfold definitely did a couple of hypercars. And yeah, you've got these cities that are normally just busy 24/7 and just completely deserted, and these beautiful rolling shots of these amazing cars. And yeah, that was, I don't want to say that someone needs to do it, but someone needs to do it. Yeah, anyway.
Don't tell anyone about it.
Post about it in like a year's time.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, yeah, quiet morning in Adelaide. Anyway, actually, it's always a quiet morning in Adelaide. But
yeah, relatively, absolutely. Yeah, so interesting time, but cool. And yeah, of course, obviously with Adelaide Rally being put on jack stands, as it was so eloquently communicated. Yeah, that was a bit of a sad one, but also with everything that we were doing and getting on and time crunch and everything, it was kind of nice to have a bit more breathing room too. So
I think as sad as postponed it is, that there was no choice. Like, it was becoming readily apparent that there was no choice, and I think it would have been, you know, I think it's definitely the right. I mean, obviously now it's the only decision, but like right decision to make, and it is sad. But actually, as you know, I think you were talking to Tim Postingham the other day, and as I sort of think, I think it actually is going to be a better event in March. I think it's you know, certainly from our perspective, we're going to be able to do things just with a bit more time that are going to be much better. And I think, you know, from the events perspective too, I think it'll actually be, you know, maybe we might get Guja street parties back. You might get an actual finish back.
Yeah, if there's a vaccine floating around or stuff happening that kind of allows for a bit of that, or, you know, we're under so much control here that it allows for that'll produce a much better event, which will be amazing.
Yeah. So I guess a quick note.
A bit better weather too. We're not going to be like 1,000,000 degrees and dying. Hopefully you don't get rain, but yeah.
You might do. Could go either way. But,
mid to high 30s trying to do tarmac rally is always a hard one.
Yeah. Just a quick note as well. Obviously, we are doing the photography and video sales for our customers that have purchased, if anyone's tuning in. We did email out, but yeah, look, obviously, you can hold your photo and video purchases over to the March dates, which is cool. We can hold on to your money, or a full refund is available as well. So just drop us an email. But we have contacted everyone, I think, but just in case you haven't got that, you can get a refund. So yeah, anyway.
And if one of the scheduled posts from Adelaide Rally pops up, just ignore it.
Yeah, there's been a couple.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
Any news is good news. Yeah, anyway, so I found something this week.
Now, I'm nervous.
It was pretty exciting.
The other day, I rang Luke up and said, what are we going to talk about on the podcast? And he said, I've got an idea. but then refused to tell me what that idea was, which made me very nervous. So I'm completely blind into this.
I want to know why you stopped doing this. Really, I reckon you hit a niche, and it would have been amazing to keep going.
I know.
Oh no! I stumbled across some gold during some Facebook group searching.
I know.
And I don't know, maybe you told me about this and I just forgot about it, but we're talking about 2007.
Oh.
I think 2007.
Okay. You need to tell me what it is before I can tell you what year it was. But anyway.
It looks about vintage 2007, Andrew.
That's a beautiful screenshot. That's a beautiful screenshot. I like.
I'm popping the link in the comments to the video because it is. It is on YouTube, so we can't play it on YouTube because apparently that causes a black hole and YouTube sucks in on itself. But we have Andrew.
You know what? The funny, best
driving roads. So
the funny thing is that video's actually got some pretty solid views on it.
21,000. I want to know why did you stop doing this? Why did you stop reviewing cars?
Because I was terrible at it.
I actually think you were quite, apart from, I've obviously picked the most flattering of angles, and
that was a really fun project actually.
Tell me about it. Was like,
yeah,
I watched it and I had a good laugh, like proper good. The intro is actually, you know what? The intro hasn't changed much from our podcast intro. Like, it's still just as awkward and horrible.
No, it was a cool video. Actually, you know what? It's so funny. We the guys. Yeah, hey, I was nothing to do with Best Driving Roads. This was Daniel Grilli and Matei, and forgive me, I am being a terrible person. It was what 14, 13 years ago now. But
2012.
2012. The other guys involved, I can't remember the names. I'm picturing the faces now. Anyway, it's a shame they didn't go on with it because this was like the start of YouTube, and this was the start of people making YouTube videos. And now it's impossible to kind of build much on YouTube because everyone's, big. But this was early. This was early stuff. And yeah, these guys started a series called Best Driving Roads, where they would review a road in the Adelaide Hills, and they'd take a stretch of road and they'd look into the sort of the history of it and describe the road. And it was a really cool series. And each episode they'd get a car and someone to drive. And
Adelaide based by looks of the channel.
Yeah, Adelaide based. It was and
that's actually Robert White.
Robert White.
Julius Zilnicki.
Yes, I'm still in touch with them on Instagram these days. Except everyone goes by their handles, so I can't remember the name. But funny story of that video, actually, very funny story. So so we went and filmed, and it was very basic equipment they were using. Like their results that they got in 2012 using the equipment they were using was pretty cool, actually. And we did this thing that was very awkward. I'd never done anything on camera before, and I thought they just wanted to use the car. So I was like, sure, I'll come and drive it in some shots. And then suddenly it's like, oh, can you tell us about the thing? And I was like, okay, sure. Well, anyway. And
then can you do in-car telling us about the thing?
Yeah. So funny story about that. I think with it's my dad's car, because my X19 at the time was still mid restoration and very far from being drivable. And so I borrowed dad's. Now, funny story about this. We filmed that about Christmas time. It was sort of like December.
The name of the event is X19 on Lobethal Road, Best Driving Roads Christmas Special.
Christmas Special. So funny story. So we filmed this. It was Basket Range Road in the Adelaide Hills, which is probably my favorite road in the world. It's a great stretch of road. And there's a long straight when you kind of get out sort of, 3/4 of the way to Lobethal. There's a big long straight. Anyone who's driven in the Adelaide Hills knows that you always do the speed limit on the big long straights. I swear I wasn't here. I don't know. Anyway, we filmed the video. It was great. Had fun. And then a couple of weeks later, my father gets a speeding fine in the post. And he opens it, and this is the days before you got the pictures, right? And it was just that your vehicle has been caught, blah blah blah. And he's sitting there, and he's like, I don't remember being there on that day. And he's like, I don't remember it. He's like, it must have, And he's like, I don't know. This doesn't seem right. And he was about to pay for it. He was literally about to be like, well, I must have been, obviously, and then pay for it. Hidden speed camera, didn't notice it.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a fool, said to him, I was like, well, screw the system. If you don't think it's you, if they've made a mistake, like request the photo, get the proof. If you didn't do it, then don't pay the fine. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So he applies for the photo, and a couple of weeks later, the photo turns up, and it clearly shows me driving the car. And he's like, "That's yours, mate." And I was like, so that video cost me about $400, I think.
Oh wow! Yeah, right.
It was a good one.
No, it was great.
Yeah, it was a good video. But very cringeworthy. I actually found that a few months ago. Again, and I tried to watch it, and I got about 3 minutes in. No, can't watch it.
Can't do it. I thought your ability to speak in the vehicle while you're driving, never doing it before was quite good actually. Being able to speak about the car and speak about the road and do all that kind of thing. It makes me wonder why you stopped.
Maybe we should start again. I don't know.
Andrew drives. Andrew's Boxster reviews every day.
No. I know this is very hypocritical given I wrote a feature story for issue 4 on my own car, but I think I'm very much over reviewing my own cars.
Well, yeah.
I don't think the world needs to hear that.
You can borrow Andy's Boxster then.
No. Can we talk about this? I don't think we can, but we can talk about Andy's other car. We are going this afternoon to collect something Andrew Metcalf has signed in. And if he is watching, jump in the comments and tell us if we can talk about it. But I'm going to give some hints. I'm not going to say what it is because it's a bit of a secret. And then maybe next week we'll talk about it.
Sure. It's Italian. I'm out of this one. So
it's Italian. It's a manual transmission. It has 2 sunroofs and it has 6 seats. And I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, so it's a very, very, very cool. I think it's cool. A lot of people think it's heinous, but I think it's cool car. And maybe we'll try a video or something on that. I don't know. We'll see.
That would be an interesting one. Would be a good one.
We just need a good hook. Anyway.
Absolutely. So what? Yeah, so you rocked up to this video not knowing that they were going to want you to speak, and did they ask you to review the car, or was it more like you just started chatting?
No, I was just chatting. I think it was a case of just put a camera in the car to get some driving and then tell us a bit about it. And of course, it's a 20 minute stretch of road, so you've got the camera running for 20 minutes, and you kind of can't stop it because you're driving and. And I think I've just talked crap for 20 minutes, and they managed to pick a reasonably coherent sentence out of it. And so I'm saying, I can't believe that these guys, I know that Daniel is a winemaker now. Like obviously Primo Estate Wines. Daniel's a winemaker and has studied winemaking in Italy. Like none of these guys have sort of super carried on with the video or media careers. And I think that video was as an early attempt. I think. It's nothing to do with me. I think that video showed a really good promise in actually making some really great YouTube content about 5 years before the rest of the world caught on to the fact that this type of stuff is really good for YouTube. In fact, it makes me a bit bummed that we as a group didn't that they didn't go on with it and we didn't go on with it, because if we just kept going then that's the time you needed to start YouTube was 2012. That was when you needed to. And you look at it in the views, and it's had 21,000 views or something. And people upload stuff now, and you'd probably get a couple of hundred if you're lucky for the same sort of video these days. So, I see it as a massive missed opportunity. To be honest, I think it could have been really cool. But anyway, that's what.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I wonder if that's. Let's have a look. That is their most viewed video, by far.
I think, to be fair, from memory.
Is that you just bumping up the numbers?
Yeah, pretty much.
Viewing it 24/7 on repeat.
It's It's probably my dad sitting there going, "That's my car, bastard." But
it came up in like one of the FX19 forums on like groups on Facebook, and it was your dad and someone else talking about it, and like, oh yeah, that's the car from blah blah best driver.
No way. Really? Yeah, no, I think it got circulated in a lot of the X19 forums back.
What do you mean best driving roads video? Check this out, and then like Googled it, found it, and went look how much hair he's got.
I know. Oh man,
Andrew
today. Anyway,
curls get the girls. So it is.
Good times. Good times. Yeah, no, it's an interesting bit that obviously our early media careers are all on the internet for all to see these days, whereas 30 years ago they'd be in some regional newspaper that was used for fish and chips 28 years ago, whereas it's all still there now. Anyway,
at least that's a good bit about being a photographer. You just sit behind the lens rather than
except for now,
in front of it. Except for now, blowing that out.
Do you know your kids in 10 years' time are going to be like, "Oh man, my dad's so embarrassing. He goes on YouTube and just talks about stuff." Like
10 years. That's now.
Yeah.
I do that now. Embarrass my kids. Oh, dad. Oh, that's such a dad joke. Yeah, it is. That's why I say it is. Other news that you just picked up on before while we were waiting for our broken podcast to start again.
Yeah.
Australian GT takeover. That's huge.
Let me read. I found
this. It's like fresh. It's like
this is
today, 5 p.m. Australian time. Fresh.
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, SRO is the Stefan Rattel organization, and they are GT racing. So they're the people that invented GT3, the global phenomenon that is sweeping the world. And the Australian Racing Group and SRO have been named as the new joint managers of Motorsport Australia GT Championship and Motorsport Australia Endurance Championship from 2021. This is from Speed Cafe. Blah, blah, blah. Australian GT basically joins their empire of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, GT World Challenge Series in Europe, North America, and Asia. It goes on. But the cool thing is that Australian Racing Group run the Motorsport. It's all getting confusing with these name changes, isn't it? The Motorsport Australia Racing, whatever used to be Shannon's Nationals, whatever that's called now. But basically, Shannon's Nationals, which is now the, as I said, it's the Motorsport Australia Nationals or whatever it is, basically is now comprised of Australian GT, TCR Australia, the S5000 Australian Drivers' Championship, Touring Car Masters, V8 Touring Cars, the National Trans Am Series, and the Bathurst 6 Hour and Bathurst International events. So my question is, do you want to really be supercars at the moment? Or do you want to be Australian Racing Group? Because a few people have mentioned that's a solid weekend out if you've got Australian GT, TCR, S5000, Touring Car Masters. That's like, for international viewers, that's probably some of the best racing championships in the world, the most exciting racing championships in the world on one grid. That's very cool.
Well, yeah, considering that they're going to be out on their own and not as a support race to supercars, because again, like speaking about Clipsal going down and that whole event, I think a huge contribution to that was the lack of good support grids for them. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty cool. That'd be a good weekend.
I'm not against supercars. Like I'm not an anti-supercars person. Like I think but I'm just of the opinion that it was a time and place that it coincided with the peak Holden versus Ford. It was Australian car manufacturing. There's a lot of things that have been happening for the last decade that have landed us in the situation we're at the moment. And you got to say, like, Camaros and Mustangs that don't really look like the road cars kind of racing around with no real relevance and, headline events dumping the category. And I don't like to see it. It's sad to see it. But the fact is, I think if you look through the history of Australian and world motorsport, like times change, eras run for various reasons, and I think we've all been lucky enough to witness a golden era of Australian motorsport, and it's over. Like that's cool, but I think a new one is starting, and yeah, this is really exciting. Geez, imagine if you could somehow pull the Adelaide 500 event back and get all of those Motorsport Australia categories on the support card with supercars as a headline, and make the GT race a proper 6 hour or 9 hour or something like that.
Imagine if you did like
international drivers,
a 6 hour GT, like start it at 5 o'clock and finish it near the end of the night on the Saturday night or something, while Fringe is on and everything, and you do your 6 hours and then pop across to the garden afterwards.
But also take a page out of Le Mans. I think the thing that makes the international event so popular is Le Mans 24 hours, Spa 24 hours, like all of the, Sebring 12 hours, whatever it is, Sebring, Daytona 24 hours. They're all just a giant party. Like that's what makes them fun is the atmosphere. It's not really about the racing. It's about the off track and the party. And so imagine if you had a 6 hour or 9 hour GT race, and then you had the concerts that happen, kick off at sort of 5, 6 p.m. and you've got the concerts with the GT racing happening at the same time, and you've got fireworks and the theme ground and the garden there. Like that's a really cool festival that actually engages people and brings it back. So
I do wonder with that though, like with endurance racing, like how much scope is there outside of the 12 hour for Australian and international teams to run, let's just say, an Adelaide based city event with that. Is there enough? Like, is there really is Australian teams going to run 2 of them and international teams going to come back twice?
You'd have to dovetail it with Bathurst if they made it a fortnight after Bathurst, so that you'd come over for Bathurst and then stay for the Adelaide. Like that'd work. But I think what a lot of car fans forget is that we are the nerds of the nerds, and most people really don't care. And like Adelaide 500 needs to appeal to most people, not the nerds of the nerds. If you can, so maybe it would work. But I don't know. Like there's something there. I think that. Anyway, I just think that's a really exciting development, and there's been so much bad news coming out of Motorsport Australia lately. I think that's a really exciting development because, you look at what's happening. SRO, they don't muck about. Like they don't mess things up. They know what they're doing. So,
well, I think that's been a category overall, like Australian GT, that's kind of been always seen as the gentleman racer division in Australia, and not a solid commercial investment opportunity. You know what I mean? Like there's no huge sponsorship deals and bits and pieces that are happening with it. It's all people basically that have businesses that are running cars around. So I think that kind of brings that category, hopefully will bring that category to a level where you're getting teams investing money in cars and drivers and getting sponsorship for it and seeing that grow. Because again, with the change in supercars, there's that big gap, I think, for that to happen.
I think, and like GT racing is kind of, I think they've really hit the sweet spot because you've got all of these wealthy amateurs that A, want to have a drive and a race themselves, but